Hey, this is Nate from Narrowway Homestead. I wanted to do an update and sort of a how-to video on how to hook up your water heater to straight DC right from solar panels. So first I just want to kind of say that water heaters, unless you buy one specifically for DC, are made for AC, and you probably shouldn't do this unless you're in a pinch or know exactly what you're doing. So, with that being said, let's get into it here. I currently live in a camper, and because of that, I'm using a camper water heater. They're usually mounted here. They're propane or, at least this one was, propane or electric. We are doing the off-grid thing without using any propane. So we're opting to use electric. So, biggest issue, the thing that regulates the temperature is rated for AC. When you put DC to it, it shorts out and does not know when to shut off. It essentially shorts itself out. So that was pretty much what happened the first time I did this. I've had a couple trial and errors trying to do things extremely cheaply. I could have spent a few $100 and had no issues at all. But that's not really conducive to my lifestyle. Didn't really want to do that, even if I had it sitting around. I like to save my money for some other things. So what we ended up doing is installing, first of all, since this thing won't shut off with the at the temperature, I ended up finding a way to make it shut off with the temperature. Well, or at least let me know. So what I have is a temperature, what do I want to call this? This is basically a controller. I'm calling for heat or cooling. You can buy this thing on Amazon, made by Inkbird, for like 16 bucks. And I have this hooked up to do, as soon as the temperature reaches 150 degrees, it turns on one side of the outlet, which powers this whole thing. I do need to clean this all up, make it look really nice and pretty, but I wanted to put the video out there kind of as a proof of concept. So I have it connected, number one, to this 12-volt adapter up to this car horn. So as soon as this thing hits temperature, bam, a lot of noise being made over here. And number two, what that powers is this valve here, and this is basically just a powered valve. Whenever it receives power, it opens it up. So currently what happens, this thing reaches a high temperature, this opens up, the horn's going off, blasts the water out here. It's kind of like a pressure relief valve in some ways. It serves a similar function, except for the fact that I don't want to rely on it. It's only a backup pressure relief valve. You just need that for safety so the tank doesn't blow up. But before this would ever activate, this thing blows the water out here to this 5-gallon bucket. And what that will do is drop the temperature in the tank below 150. As soon as it hits 148, it shuts off. Now I do have my probe connect directly up here to the pressure valve, so it takes it a while. It actually blows about 2 gallons out of my 5-gallon tank. So that's fairly significant, and it usually drops about 10 degrees actually after the fact. But while it's blowing that, filling my bucket, it's sounding the car horn. When the car horn shuts off, I know everything's working okay and that it's not in danger of blowing because the water pressure, or the hot water, has been evacuated, filled with cold water. This is then used for clothes washing, dishwashing, whatever we happen to need hot water for on the homestead. This time of year in late November, hot water is really handy. Eventually I have an idea to put this to maybe a insulated water tank or something similar to what I did here. Obviously I just wrapped this water tank in an insane amount of fiberglass. Now onto the electric going to it. I just simply have this this is serving as a junction box. I used to use light switches for the on off for the DC power. They of course shorted out because they're not rated for it. Thought I'd get away with it a little longer, but I didn't. So if I decide to unplug that valve that turns on, that blows the water out, what I can do is come over here, and I actually have, oh cool, I can take it apart with one hand. I have this AC disconnect modified. I have it modified here to have a tremendous distance between the contacts. And if you pull it quickly and put it back quickly, most critically pulling it quickly, you will have no issues with it arcing and carrying on, particularly on a cloudy day. But if I hear the horn go off and I've unplugged that, the horn will just continuously go off until I come over here and disconnect this and then shut the horn off. And I have these three panels. They put out, forget what it says on the back of them. Take a look here. Yeah, they're usually putting out right around 30 volts. 33 volts is what I've read with the meter. So we get about 100 volts DC. Heats up the heating element real nice, not quite as efficiently as 120 volts would, but it's good enough. The rest of these solar panels all go to my battery bank, which is really nice. But these last three were just overkill for it. So it's like, well, what can I do with these? I had to buy them all in a big set. And rather than tax my battery bank, especially on a day like this when my batteries just are not charging for some reason, I'm getting the max charge that I can for the day, and the hot water just has nothing to do with it. Different systems for redundancy. So anyway, just kind of an overview of how this was. This is actually like my third or fourth video on this, just overcoming different failures, but I think I got it this time. That switch shouldn't wear out at all. I've disconnected it under load without any issues. It's been a cloudy day, but we've got 73 degrees there. The water is pretty much coming in around 55 degrees or something like that. And today we haven't seen much over 50 at all outside, if that. I'm not totally sure, but anyway, obviously we're at 73, so we just slowly warm it up. The advantage of having a smaller tank is I have hotter water on a cloudy day. So if we wanted to take a shower, it's not quite 50 degree water, it's 73 degree water, and that's a lot nicer. So hopefully this gives you an idea. If you're thinking about this, those are some of the struggles you're going to run into. This is kind of a way around it for less than 50 bucks. I have this whole setup. I've reused a lot of different plumbing fittings and stuff, so I didn't have to purchase a lot of that. I just had to purchase the controller for 15, this thing 17 or 18 from Amazon. I had this. I did buy the car horn. That was like $7. So yeah, and I had the wiring and everything left over from the solar panels. So that's pretty much one way to do it, and just get hot water if we have extra hot water. I just don't like disconnecting the panels when I could just have hot water sitting around instead, particularly in the wintertime. And this is kind of an automatic thing. I don't have to be here in full with it. I wouldn't have to do the horn, except for I just don't totally trust any system. Something could fail here, and then I'd be using the pressure relief valve, and then someday the pressure relief valve might fail. So I like to have the pressure relief valve only as a backup in an emergency, and have something else in the meantime. Kind of a safety thing. So anyway, that's what I did. I wouldn't recommend doing it unless you know exactly what you're doing or you're in an extreme pinch. If you have any suggestions on something you think might be different, why, let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested in hearing about it. But we've had this working for a little while now, and we've definitely had it heat up on a sunny day, and been definitely using water for washing dishes and stuff like that. We're pretty primitive at the moment. Been homesteading for 8-ish months, so eventually we'll have something a lot cooler, but I'm hoping to duplicate this system in our outdoor kitchen and have hot water there as well, and be totally independent of the regular battery and solar setup. So, all right, thanks for watching.